Hey there guys, Spazzy here at K-Syndromes, and you guessed it, welcome back to Discovery Freelancer Episode 2 Let's Play for 2020. So, before I begin this series in earnest, let me quickly point this out. If you're currently watching this video at the time of actually me posting it, or at least very close to that day, take a look in the community section of my channel. There is an ongoing vote as to the second game of our Let's Play series. There is a tie for the second place between Empyrean Galactic Survival and 7 Days to Die, and I need your help to finish this, choice. Anyway, for us over here in Disco Land, Disco ended up being the highest voted game to actually do the Let's Play for, and so, with that in mind, let's go. Many of you have joined this channel of mine and subscribed to, my games with Avorion. And, well, this is kind of like Avorion, you will see in a moment, although it's multiplayer, and not exactly. Someone asked me in the comments, is Disco Freelancer basically like an online version of Dungeons & Dragons, like on Roll20? And yes, and not exactly. You'll see that in a bit. I actually received quite a few questions regarding how the game mechanics work, and I will go through them in due time, but yeah. Considering we're here and I have this menu open anyway, I might as well show you one of them. Someone asked me, okay, so this is a roleplay server, you choose a character you want to roleplay and you interact with the environment. Okay, fair enough. So what stops me from taking a character that is a Liberty, like a military dreadnought captain, and becoming a pirate? And technically speaking, you are, with the implications in mind, the only thing that prevents you from doing so is your ID. So every single player on the server has an ID. Now this item is visible to any player if they scan your ship, and it serves two purposes, or actually it serves a lot of purposes, but for this specific explanation, it basically tells you what you can do and what you can't do. So for example, right now I'm a freelancer. I have absolutely no restrictions on where I can go, bar, the consequences if I go somewhere I shouldn't. But for example, the pilot carrying this quasi-lawful ID, first of all, this ID is quasi-lawful, which means that I can participate in both lawful and unlawful actions, aka I'm a gray pilot, I can attack any ship in self-defense or to protect a friendly or allied ship. So for example, if I'm flying around with a friend who is also a freelancer, for example, he's a transport and I'm an escort, then I can protect him. I can fulfill any bounty and escort contracts and may treat transports as combat targets when executing a bounty or escort contract against them. So the way this works is transports are not combat targets. You cannot just kill a player trading without, a reason. And there's many reasons you can, but a freelancer ID is not one of them. The only downside here is that I cannot use any transports with more than 3,600 cargo except for these two. The reason for that is very simple. I can go anywhere and land on any base. So I can land on a unlawful base, pick up contraband, and I can land on a on a lawful base and sell the contraband. As you might expect, this is a freedom that is not really given to, lawful, quote, players. So there is a downside, and that just means that I cannot have very large trading ships. So, and also I can only fly fighters, transports, and gunboats. So, yeah, basically that. There is a ship that I'm currently looking forward to buying for this character, and I'll start thinking about what kind of character I want to play at all. Like, Lucid Nonsense is currently the name of our ship. I don't yet know what kind of character I want to play. I have a few ideas, but I will figure them out eventually. Anyway, the time is the 28th of 5th, and right now I think the event that we started off in the previous episode might be already over. I'm not exactly sure. Yes. So it seems. So, alright, so right now it turns out that the station that was being threatened by the storm, it was either fortified or not fortified. I'm honest, I don't know. I haven't checked. I don't know how that ended. But yeah. Let's take a look. We have counterfeit software here that we can buy, and then we can take to luxury liner Shetland in Poole. We can fly to Rhineland from here, to Brittany in Dublin, Omega 7. Not really, like, none of these places are too close nearby, and so I'm not really in a hurry to go there. I think what was going to happen is we have 6 million credits right now, and we are going to go see if we can buy a better shippy. But first, I kind of want to check out what do we have here. So this, you'll learn how to distinguish them soon enough. This is a player-built base. Players build it, players assign rights who can or cannot dock here, and they set up their own items to, you know, sell and buy. So let's very quickly check out what do we have here. There is nothing really. So it's a zoner base, but it doesn't really look like they are selling anything right now in specific, so that's completely fine. That really does not mean much for us. There is 2 more bases here. There's Kepler Space Center, which is a really neglected base. So let's see if maybe it is buying something interesting that we can actually use. No. It does not look like it. Let's take a look. The Kepler Space Station welcomes you, pilot. Enjoy your stay in our installation. Okay, let's take a look. Right now, it looks like constructing bulk storage module, waiting for robotic hardware hull segments and industrial hardware. That is interesting. I might want to check out where those things are sold at. I'm not exactly sure how much the station is going to pay me for it, because there's no mechanic to show that. Like, it's just a game limitation. And for the third base here, let's quickly check out. Okay, so this one is just restricted. My character's name is not on the list of whitelisted ships, and so we cannot really do anything about it. We can, however, go back to Liberty, and I think what we're going to really quickly do first is we are going to go and get ourselves a new ship and a new ID, because I think that the future of this character is going to lay in slightly more shady things, and one of the best IDs, apart from, you know, the Freelancer ID, is the Junker ID. From our previous slightly, you know, interesting encounters with the Navy boys, this character has already established itself as kind of a... I wouldn't say he is a complete opportunist, but I think that would be an interesting route to play him as. So, for those of you who have never participated in online roleplay like this, there is a few very easy ways on how to create a character if you've never done this before. I already said how online roleplay in general kind of works like you are typing your own dialogue trees as you would choose them in, you know, single-player RPGs such as Mass Effect or Fallout or whatever. And yeah, I'm not exactly wrong on that. That is basically how it works. So let's see. Right now I have 540 cargo space and 6 million credits, which means that I should be able to grab myself the ship that I want from one of the bases in New York. The only problem is that I'm not exactly sure which base it was. So, let's hope for the best. Let's see if we can actually find something interesting to interact with. Now, every single action that you're going to take in this game is going to be related to the players around it. So for example, if we meet a pirate or something else, a ship so small like ours is most likely not going to be all that interesting for them to shoot, but we might, you know, offer our services. We'll just have to see how courteous they are, or how uncourteous they are, and kind of figure it out from there. So there's a lot of things going on in the Texas system right now. There's an event going on, as far as I know. There is not a lot of people in New York per se, and it looks like we are the only ones in Colorado. That's completely fine. Now, using the player list to kind of gauge activity is kind of a split thing. So, let's talk about two major obstacles to when it comes to online roleplay like this. One is called metagaming, and one is called power playing. So, metagaming is essentially using information for the benefit of your character's actions that they would not usually have access to. So, for example, some people say that using this list of players is metagaming because you are gaining access and accordingly choosing out your character's actions depending on what information you get from here, even though there's no way your character should be able to obtain it. And I can kind of see why people would say that, but at the same time, it does let me, as a Let's Player, gauge the activities in these systems, and it's kind of hard to, you know, ignore it as you open up this thing and you see all these people here anyway. Yeah. Right, so, let's see. There's a Liberty Super Transport, a Liberty Transport, a Liberty Heavy Transport. None of these ships are the ones that I want, and none of these ships are the ones I can buy. So, do not worry about it. I have a feeling the transport that I wanted to get is back in Pennsylvania, actually, now that I think about it, and there is probably a way to check without having to Alt-Tab. Okay, we have Gerald, finding some rogues. Oh wow, that's a lot of rogues. So where is this going on? It's going on somewhere else. And these two players are actually carrying ore. Ore is very valuable. Like, very, very valuable. And honestly, I kind of want some of that, so maybe a Junker ID is in fact the way to go. So that's kind of funny. You have ships docked on the model of the station, but the station itself does not in fact sell any of the ships. That's fine. Let's keep going. This place probably did not have the... No, it did not have the ships that I wanted. So I think I'm right. It is probably back there in Pennsylvania. We'll fix that. We'll do that in a bit. Let's take a look here. Liberty Ale. This is the prime buy point for this for this particular commodity, which means that there is no place that has a better price to buy these items. So let's very quickly take a look. If there's perhaps... Okay, you have Philadelphia Station in Pennsylvania. Sure. So that's just for the sake of having a little bit more extra money in our pocket. The one trick about flying around in a transport is, if you're transporting nothing, you're wasting your time and you're losing money. If you're running around in a transport, you just need to have something in your cargo hold. That is just the law. Speaking of law, the House of Liberty is a very interesting roleplay ground because people don't really have a consensus as to how to roleplay these characters. Some players say that these characters are all stalwart heroes, and they are usually, you know, very prideful, you know, as they tend to be. Or they are very lawful, they are very unyieldy when it comes to interactions with unlawful characters, they will just want to shoot them. Other people say that this is liberty, so, you know, this is Space America, so corruption reigns supreme, right? You can always, you know, cut some deals with people if you're caught smuggling, for example, and stuff like that. I must say that I kind of see where the split is, because I've honestly had both sides of the coin. I've seen both sides of these two kinds of interactions, and at the same time I have played both. I have, in fact, made Liberty lawfuls and unlawfuls in the past. So, yeah. Can confirm. Now then, speaking of the subject, there is an idea that we might want to create others' characters as soon as possible, because being able to very quickly switch to hot zones and, you know, places of activity is going to make the Let's Play a lot more easier. So, for example, it's been 16 minutes, and I've really not done anything too much right now, apart from talking a lot. So, we will have to take that in mind. Now, if I am not... Okay, so there's Philadelphia Station. That is actually where we need to sell this... Liberty Ale, because zoners like to drink, apparently. So we have a player there. It's Avenger. And there's also a Interstellar Beacon. It's a very odd name for a base. But yeah, let's take a look. If I'm not mistaken, this is actually the place where to buy the ship that I wanted. Okay, we just got like 200 something credits out of that. That's good. No, it is not in fact here. So where is it? So, Bethlehem Station. Let's take a look. Arrow, Starblazer, Dromedary. That is not the place. Stargazer, Sunburst, Sunrider. No. You know, this is kind of strange. Ships for sale, none. I don't like the look of this. I'm not exactly sure where that ship is sold now. And that might by itself be a bit of a troublem. Okay, let's very quickly check the nearby stations. Let's check Texas first. Let's take Houston. Large transport, civilian, gunboat, and Rhino. Not exactly the thing that we need. No. Let's take a look here. Planet Brazos. No. Austin Depot. Maybe it's Austin Depot? Base construction, armor transport, Falcon. We could go for the Falcon, but for the armor transport, but I'm not exactly sure. The armor transport needs a lot of money put into it until it becomes actually usable. Especially as a piracy ship, because hey, that's what we're gonna do, right? Okay, what about California? Let's check planet Sunburst, Falcon, Eagle. That is very nice. Stargazer, large train, large transport. I'm just looking for the regular transport, that's the problem. Okay, yeah. Excuse me for just a moment. I'll try to find it manually. Apparently, it is in fact sold on the flight school. Or at least it used to be. The Wikipedia for Discovery Freelancer is kind of outdated. There was a lot of pages that were kind of reliant on the game files being skimmed, but since a lot of the game files are being modified in real time on the server, it's not really not really an option anymore. So that's something to keep in mind if you ever try to look up some sort of information there. So yeah, the Valley Forge Flight School is apparently the place to go for it. I guess if I had, in fact, you know, docked there before, I would have known that, but hey. Boo. Okay, let's take a look. And yes, there it is. Oh, it's a lot cheaper than I remember it to be. And the armor transport is technically cheaper. 60,000 and 50,000. Oh, they removed the guns from the package. That's why it's so cheap now. So we're going to purchase our new ship. And the one thing that we're instantly going to do is sell off all the items that we physically cannot use anymore. We're going to also buy back our ID. If we don't do that, we physically won't be able to launch from the station. So, let's see. Charon Iron Hammer turret. I'm looking for something with the most range. But at the same time, you can kind of see that it's a bit on the pricey side. And we are not really left with a lot of credits. Okay, let's take a look at this. A transport with this equipment installed will not be considered a transport under ID rules. Oh, okay. So this is to protect people in the cases like mine. So this is exactly the sort of stuff that happens. Oh, nice. This is completely fine. Right, I'll talk about that in a bit. But right now, it looks like we have completely expended all of our credits. So let's... Yeah, I was trying to figure out what the key to stop the auto roll was. So hey, here we go. We have ourselves a new shippy. There is a reason why I chose this ship, by the way, and that is because it is deceptively powerful. And one of the things we're going to do with this character is kind of work for pirates if we get a chance. Because opportunistic tendencies, which by the way is also a very good name for, you know, future name for the ship, are certainly a thing we can do sooner or later. Right, but first, we're just going to go back to filling up our cargo space with space rocks. Which, by the way, are harder to shoot now, because the guns that we are using on this thing are actually a lot more slower. So this is the very basic type of mining, by the way. Like, we are just shooting rocks. There's a player on my scanner. Just like in EVE Online, I actually would highly suggest you you kind of treat every single player as a suspected bastard. Yeah, just out of spite. Just out of principle, rather. Not even spite. Suspicious activity until proven otherwise. And he is kind of going my direction. As I'm shooting, I'm actually looking at the scanner, at the distance this player is at. But he's currently at 5.6. So that is completely fine. So how is our helium doing? Okay, we're half full. Let's kind of finish this up. And we will figure it out. I already have a few ideas for potential new ships. But first, we need the investment. So, as I started to say, one of the easier ways to kind of figure out what kind of character you want to play, if you've never done this sort of thing before, is kind of take a character that you know, like, very well. It can be from video games, from movies, from cartoons, whatever. There we go. Okay, now we're going to dump this helium on Plan Manhattan, actually, yeah. Sure, let's do that. So yeah. Take a character like that, and without referencing any of its, original source, kind of apply their overall behavior and, speech patterns to the game. Because, so for example, you have, I don't know, you have the wise kind of mentor-like think Uncle Iroh from The Last Airbender, the cartoon. And you can kind of figure out, like, you can imagine, okay, if this sort of character would meet someone else on the long road between distant systems, you know what kind of, dialogue would take place. And that is usually going to help you. You will find over time that you're going to kind of start assigning your own kind of twist on the character. And over time, it's just going to evolve into something more interesting. That's basically how it's going to usually happen. As for us, I'm not exactly sure on the complete details on, how I want this character to behave, but we will see soon enough. So, there was something going on in Texas, and I'm really tempted to find a reason to go there and check it out. Let's take a look. So, sadly, Texas is not, in fact, one of the destinations for this thing, but we could say that, hey, we want to fly to Rhineland and go via Texas. That is certainly an idea. Why not? Let's go. It's been 30 minutes. It's about time we find some sort of interaction. Interaction on very low-level characters is kind of tricky, mostly because when you're a completely novice in Discovery Freelancer, like, your first, list of things to do would be to get yourself a trading ship, basically a ship that you can make credits with, because you need those credits to create normal characters. And get into fights. Well, let's keep going. One of the things I really want to do, though, is grab the Junker ID. Because right now, as a freelancer, I can't really do anything to transports, but Junkers can. No, that's a new player. Who this? Ah, space. Infinity and beautiful. I've seen worse, I guess. My character is a smartass, and I have a feeling that this guy's mouth is going to get him into a lot of trouble over the next few episodes. Like, I am absolutely sure of it. So that dude was flying a rather interesting freighter. I might look into it a little bit later, but right now, this used to be a very capable ship. And I kind of want to see if it's still capable. If it's not, we'll kind of figure out how exactly we want to... on how we want to do this. So, first of all, that got us 2 million credits. We're going to invest that very quickly, because we want a better scanner. So let's just grab this thing. This scanner is going to allow us to see players from a greater distance. That's one thing, and the armor upgrade that multiplies our base armor, by the way, is 5 million credits. So we're kind of far off, but not that far off. Anyway, there was a thing that I need to do. Let's see. Let's go to control. Where is it? Launch cruise disruptor, and also mouse 4. There we go. Okay, let's go meet the Junkers. The Junkers are a very interesting player faction to, well, technically it's an NPC faction, but Junkers in general are a very interesting faction to play. Let's just say that in terms of mistrustfulness, freelancers are still kind of considered more lawful, usually lawful, than, you know, Junkers. But yeah, Junkers are usually more favorably viewed by pirates, and since that is sort of the whole deal that we want to do, you know, then I kind of want to see. So let's see, we have people in New York. We have a Liberty capital ship player in New York. We'll see how that goes a bit later, but right now I want to find Rochester, and it looks like Rochester is in fact right here. So, I think before we can kind of affiliate ourselves with anyone worth noting, I think it's going to be a good idea to kind of just get our overall reputation in order, because right now, as you can see, we're hostile to the rogues, we're hostile to the corsairs. Like, we're not really friendly with the parties that we most likely want to be neutral with, so I think that before we go and start interacting with other players, we kind of need to make sure that our reputation is ordered so there's no awkward questions. So, nothing breaks your immersion as you're talking to a Liberty unlawful, and then their NPCs roll up to you and start shooting you. It's like, looks like you're not really on good terms with my people after all. Of the Liberty Police. Okay, so this is not something we want to do. And this is Xenos. Also, 8 million. 802,000. That is a lot. That is a lot of space bucks. I want to see... You know, it's going to be kind of interesting if we end up dying in a moment. Oh. Looks like I don't even have to do it. I can just buy the Junker ID. Boosh, there we go. Okay, the Junkers are a group of smugglers and black market traders who maintain the legal front through scrap battling. They are rumored to deal with a lot of unlawful factions, but they are enemies of the Xenos and the Hagosha. The pilot carrying this quasi-lawful ID is a member of the Junkers who can attack any ships in self-defense to protect another Junker ship or in defense of a Junker base. That's one thing. Can demand cargo and credits from ships outside of Rhineland, Liberty, and Bretonnian house space and attack them if they don't comply. Can attack Xenos and Hagosha anywhere, and cannot use any transport with more than 4,300 cargo. We have all of the Kasari to our pleasure, basically. Okay, so this mission, I'm kind of wondering, like, what kind of mission? Like, I don't remember ever seeing such a high-level mission against Xenos in Liberty. Okay, so the Xeno faction, by the way, for those of you who don't know, the Xenos are basically a group of highly disgruntled workers. They lost their jobs due to immigration and due to, you know, non-Libertonian... they're Liberty workers, by the way. Liberty workers. They lost their livelihood because of, you know, globalism in general. I guess it's not really globalism since it's, spans across the galaxy. Galaxylism. Yeah, there we go. That's a word. That's a word that I just thought of. And they are basically able to shoot down any kind of foreign trade transport. Like, they are one of the few IDs.
We read you entering range of your target. We're pinning the ship so he'll be easy to home in on. You're out of your league.
Okay, so that is actually quite a few shippies. Oh, I'm actually getting credits for that.
Scanning. Yep, it's all here. Thanks for your invaluable service.
Oh, that was a very good mission, actually. Now, these are some rather scary enemies if they're actually shooting through my transport shield. And that was the server being kind of unhappy for a moment there. I kind of messed up my weapons groups a little bit, so I'll fix that in a moment. You saw at the start of the battle I kind of shot a cruiser disruptor at it. For no reason. Okay, bounty pool. How do I... I'll need to double check how to claim that bounty, by the way. Unless it's, like, automatically applied to me. I'm not exactly sure how the system works anymore. I remember reading about it. There we go. We are almost done with these people. Being able to fight in this sort of matter, by the way, is one of the reasons why I wanted this ship. Like, the profile on this thing is very thin. Although I do admit that the firing arcs, I think they have been tampered with. I'm not exactly sure. But they don't really feel as robust as they used to anymore. So right now I'm actually getting like 500,000s per kill. Or is it just the pool? I'm not exactly sure. I'll have to check this out. Okay, there we go. 500. So... 2 million credits. So that is just the thing. How does the reward pool work? I will have to check the forums for that. But for now, let's just grab... Just get back to Rochester real quick. Actually, as I fly, I'm going to very quickly look up what exactly is that NPC thing. Alright, Discovery Freelancer. Forums. I think I was under news and announcements. Never mind, it's not here for some reason. Maybe it's the developer's forum? Let's have that doc as we still. Oh, what is this? A bounty pool worth 3.5 credits for 7 kills has been deposited. Ooh, I like this mechanic. Do you know why? Because that means we can do this. Armor upgrade, 5 million. Boosh. There we go. Now we are less squishy. Thankfully. And at the same time, let's repair ourselves real quick. Okay, we are at 41 minutes. Let's see if there's maybe another mission like that. 400. It's from the Xenos. It's for the Xenos again. You know what? Let's do it. It pays only half as much as the previous ones, sadly. But at the same time, it should be faster. And since we... I kind of do want to keep these episodes at about 41 minutes overall. But yeah. Right, so... I will need... Like, some of the moments in this game is kind of, you know, slow-paced. So I will probably need some topics to talk about overall. So first of all, I want to double-check. Freelancers. Yeah, we'll need to... There we go. I just dropped our freelancer reputation downwards, so the flashing one is going to be the affiliation that is right next to your name. Okay, so these are level 19 NPCs as well. Yes, yes he is. Okay, so for the NPCs, it looks like it is still giving me the same amount as before, which is really good because that is a very comfortable amount. Which means, as a transport, I can still open fire on these NPCs and grab some moonies. I will most definitely need to visit the server during the low pop hours when there's more NPC spawning. And then we can reap the big bucks. Although it already kind of seems we'll have more NPCs on us than the previous mission in a moment. So maybe this mission is not really paying us directly more. But in the end, it is. Also, how are you not dead? Become undie. Well, actually, no. Become die. There we go. So yeah, as a combat transport, this thing is completely viable, but it's not against the small ships that I'm worried about. I want to worry more about the large ships. You saw those two guys transporting their ore, their copper ore? Yeah. I want to catch them somewhere. Too bad I don't remember the names. I realize that watching me shoot NPCs might not be the most interesting thing, but it pays good money, and money is currently something that we want. Like, we want to pimp out this ship a little bit, and I think that's what we have done overall in this episode. We went from the starting freighter and got ourselves a viable-ish combat ship. Well, for our purposes anyway. Usually traders are vulnerable enough. So you kind of need to pick your fights.
Good job, but you're not done yet. There are more hostiles.
If that makes any sense.
Good. Take up the slack.
Well, screw you too. I owe you nothing, dude. Oh, these seem to actually have more armor than previous ones. You know, it's kind of funny that one dude said that, in the first episode, that one dude in Pennsylvania said, "Oh, you sound like a pirate." It was like, poker face. It's like, don't worry, sir. Everything is completely fine. This thing is dodging like mad. Hey guys, I don't think he wants to die. My mouse is doing that one thing where just stop shooting again. Really should fix that at some point. Christ, more NPCs? I hope I'll get a lot of, like, a lot of Moonies out of this. Okay, so as far as I can see, the payment is paid once you dock. Either it's when you dock, or it's on a timer. Like every X amount of minutes. Okay, there we go. And those are level 18 NPCs, so... Do I get the same amount of money for them as I do for these? Oh wow, these are more squishier. Yeah, you see? That's a lot less money. But as already said, these feel a lot squishier. Okay, there we go.
You did it. The area is clear. Well done. Mission Commission signing off.
There we go. So that awarded us our 400,000, which is good. And by the way, as we're killing the Xenos, we are slowly, like, the reason why I'm doing this is because it's slowly but surely increasing our standing with the locals. So for example, lane hackers are finally neutral as well. Liberty rogues that started off as, you know, pretty hostile are now neutral. So yeah, there is a reason why why we are currently doing this. So yeah, in the next episode, we will figure out what to do with all this money. I'm actually kind of curious, how much money do I get for this? Oh, there we go. 5.7 million credits for 16 kills. I like that. I really, really like that. Also, it looks like we picked up a slaughter mine and a scorpion, which we're just gonna sell all of these. So yeah, I think this is perfectly fine. I want these. There we go. Well, let's actually grab our... Oh wow, there's a lot of new... There's a lot of new cargo pods. Hello. Oh, I like this one. Actually, I like this one. So... Medium transport, so they regenerate I think I'm just gonna go with the medium graph shield. That seems like a very good idea. And as for the thruster, well, there's no capital ship thruster here anymore, so I guess that's really a moot point. Alright, well, let's empty our cargo hold. That's not a bad sum either. And there we go. Alright, ladies and gents. Let's take a look at our purchase. There we go. Lost affiliation Freelancer, new affiliation Junkers. We have become Junker Boy now. And this is our shippy. And in the next episode, we are going to be doing bad things to good people. And we're going to steal their loot. And we will need that money, by the way, because a notorious pirate is not a good thing.